Hey, Gator Nation. Welcome back to the Respect Our Decision podcast. This your boy Hirsch. And with me this week, as always, is Mike.
What's going on?
And our man Wes is having some technical difficulties this evening. He's going to try to join us in a little bit. If he can't, it's his wife's birthday. Y'all wish him well. The man's having a full evening. With that being said, guys, we're going to jump right into our show. As always, guys, make sure you download us wherever you get your podcast from. We're available on all your major podcast providers. And go ahead and check us out on YouTube, Respect Our Decision. Go ahead and subscribe to the channel. Hit a like on every video and leave a comment for us on what you think. And we'll try to get out there and respond to you. And as always, guys, if you like to support us as creators, check out our Patreon at Respect Our Decision. And just a reminder that every dollar we make off of our Patreon, we put right back into the show to make the show better for you guys. We want to give a shout out to Utah Gator, our first patron, for being down from day one. And, with that being said, guys, we got a lot to talk about tonight. We're going to talk about some recruiting stuff, some South Carolina stuff, the weekly Pick Ems. As you know, man, we got it. But before we jump into that, I want to go ahead and give a shout out to our sponsor, Camwood Supplements. Make sure you visit camwoodsupplements.com for all your workout and recovery supplements and some digestive greens for your digestive health. Can't recommend them enough. Make sure you use code RESPECT20 to save 20% off your first purchase. So, guys, we're going to jump right into it, man. We're going to hit on some, like we always do, the Under the Lights segment. Got a few guys to talk about this week on the Under the Lights segment and how they did last Friday night, as high school teams are getting closer to the playoffs. One big performance I want to talk about right off the rip, man. Our boy, Trayon Webb, had an absolutely just ridiculous game. 141 yards and 3 touchdowns on 6 carries. I mean, an absolute machine. This was the first week in a month that his quarterback, Colin Hurley, had been back. So those guys just continue to just absolutely rock and roll. I know Trinity's undefeated on the season. They're working on getting their 10th state championship, I believe it is. Quarterback commit Marcus Stokes his team had a big night. They won 47-17. Stokes had a 57-yard passing touchdown, a rushing touchdown, and his running back had 5 touchdowns on the night. So big showing from Nice last Friday night. And just a quick shout out to a 2024 kid, our running back commit, Chauncey Bowens, had an absolute monster game, 260 yards rushing and 2 touchdowns. If you haven't seen that young man, I highly suggest you go take a look at him. He is a big man. He's going to be a force. He looks like he's game ready now as a junior in high school. So can't wait to see that kid and what he does next year and then moving forward as it comes to the Gators. With that being said, guys, there's not a whole lot else to talk about on that aspect for right now. The playoffs starting soon. We'll have to see what happens with our high school kids this weekend as the storm rolls towards Florida. I know a lot of games are getting shuffled around, so we'll have to just wait and see if you follow our thread on Friday nights. What we have that night. I might have to move it to might have to be a Friday and a Saturday Under the Lights this weekend. Mike, you got anything you want to add real quick?
Just mainly just Webb continues to do what Trayon Webb thinks. He's been stepping up, and he's more and more looking like an RB1, how he was in his pre-injury rankings. So it's great to see him continue to step up and be clutch in those big games.
For sure, man. I mean, we got some good running backs. The staff should have no trouble selling running backs at this point in time, given what we've seen Johnson and Etienne do on the field this year. Selling playing time to running backs in this scheme ought to be easy to do. So, guys, we're going to jump right into recruiting. We got a lot to talk about. A lot's come down in the last 24 hours or so here as we get moving towards the South Carolina game this weekend. Obviously, a lot of stuff as far as visitors this weekend could be hit or miss depending on what this storm does. Like I said a second ago, some kids' games might get shuffled around. So if a kid at the last minute might have to cancel a visit because his game gets shifted from a Friday to a Saturday, don't panic on it. It's out of the kid's hands. Weather does this crap every year to us one way or another. Just a burden of being a team that plays in Florida. First bit of huge news that just dropped about an hour ago. Credit to Corey Bender at On 3 for breaking this story out. 5-star Desmond Ricks recently reclassified Desmond Ricks visiting Florida this weekend. Not long after taking a visit just a few weeks ago and then having an official visit in 3 weeks. I mean, we've talked about it on this show, man. We missed on Cormani. Do you go full bore on Ricks, Mike?
100%. 100%. If it's they had the funds allocated for Cormani, I see. So I mean, yes, he's a +1. However, if you have a guy that's who is willing to come, or at least you have a legitimate shot, you have the Corey Raymond factor, and he's obviously a huge Corey Raymond fan. Remember, he did come for Friday Night Lights when he could have gone to any program in the country essentially and visit that weekend. So he's obviously a fan of the not only the coach but also the university. So like I said, if you have the ability to make it happen, and one could easily argue, well, he is game ready right now in terms of long-term potential. That would be Cormani. However, I definitely like the mentality of Ricks. So it could actually be he could be the better player at the end of the day. So why not? It's a question. In terms of allocation of funds, of the NIL money, that's a different story. However, if you had it for one, why not use it for the other? That's the question you have to ask yourself.
I can't argue that. I mean,
because it's not like it's not a different position.
No.
So if worst case, you're looking at 1A, 1B. If not 1A, if not direct comps. So why not? If you're getting people worried about you missed the bad look on your national recruiting. Well, if you just get the pretty much number one kid from the next cycle who reclassified borderline 5-star. There you go.
Yeah, it's a no-brainer for me. And like you said, to me, the kid's more ready to jump in and play next year physically than Cormani is. I understand that the Cormani was more of a you can't miss because he grew up a Gator fan and whatever logic you want to use there. IMG kids are not from the state of Florida. Ricks is actually from Virginia originally. So I understand that there's always going to be more, hey, this kid is the kid you need, the Florida kid over, the IMG kids. But he's visited a handful of times just in the last since Friday Night Lights. I mean, this will be at least the third visit we know of. His official visit he's taken the first weekend in December will be the 4th. Obviously, you're serious about the kid. You're putting this much time into him. I know Corey Raymond loves him. I don't see what the problem here would be. I don't make these decisions.
How I look at it is if they don't put the 100% effort into this, we're not a serious football program. Period. Like that's it.
Not if you're trying to flip that room.
You have the ability to be at worst case. I think you're in 2024. You're a tier 1 football program in terms of recruiting. You have the ability. The board allows you to be a tier 1 football program in terms of recruiting this year, if all falls correctly. Big F, of course. Well, guess what? Desmond Ricks is a part of that, and even if you missed on Cormani, which we did, well,
you gotta have backup plans.
That's a backup plan. That's a
tier 1 teams have backup plans.
You're extremely fortunate for this to be your backup plan, because it would have been Dijon, or there are a couple other kids, but the one committed with Dijon, who's a damn good player, but he's not Desmond Ricks.
No. Moving on. More news that came out really today. Will Norman, defensive tackle that used to go to IMG, that moved up to Maryland to go play ball, was originally slated. He had posted the other day that he was going to visit Kentucky this coming weekend. But now news came out today. He's coming to Florida this weekend. That looks to me like a case of the staff saying, that's all right. You can go to Kentucky, or you can come here and be part of this class. Make your choice. And he made his choice. That's what you want to see your staff do, isn't it?
No, 100%. I'm glad they shut that down. However, and I was getting these vibes. I don't know if I said it here. I know I told you offline. I was getting diva vibes from him. I really was. And you like just how he is personally, how he's handled his recruitment, you know, for being a silent for who knows how many months, so on and so forth. Him visiting Kentucky, like this is screaming Nessa Silvera to me. I'm being dead serious. Like D linemen don't do this, and when they do, they wind up being busts. So hey, I hope he shuts me up and he just plays ball. But he's from a non-traditional football state in New Jersey, Camden, New Jersey, and he's playing AAU basketball games right now. So I don't like it. I mean, if we actually had a lot more options on the table, I wouldn't even mind dropping him at this point with the games he's playing, because I just don't like his attitude in terms, not personally, but just how he takes football. This is not how a defensive lineman acts.
I'm not going to really argue with you. When I first saw his post saying that he was going to Kentucky, I was like, well, okay.
Especially interior. Maybe DN, that's a little different. Interior, no.
My whole thing was, all right, well, I guess that's Xavier McLeod's spot. If you want to look, if I think most people would agree, and I'm not trying to slight the kid that bad. But if there was a defensive lineman to leave this class, I think most people would agree they'd be okay with it being him.
100%.
That's just that.
I don't care who you are. He's acting like a diva. Yeah. And there's certain positions you can't act like a diva. This is one of them.
No, absolutely not. That and offensive lineman, you never want to see act like this.
Correct.
Those are lunch pail guys, and they need to act as such. Not here to slight 17-year-olds, but there are a lot of things can be said by your actions. Another commit of Florida's visiting this weekend. This is kind of big news right now, given last weekend, is Jakeem Jackson. As you may have heard, last weekend, Jakeem Jackson visited Miami for that stellar football game they had down there. And I guess after seeing what they had to offer, he wants to come back to Florida and tell us, he's happy with what we got going here, I would hope. But we really need to make sure we try to keep Jakeem in this class, all jokes aside. Right now, that kid, him and Denson, cornerback one. 1A, 1B. So, some more news. 2022 tight end signee Tony Livingston is going to be in town this weekend. Haven't heard a whole lot of him.
Don't forget about Dijon.
Don't
forget about Dijon.
Oh, yeah. Well, I know Dijon's probably more slanted to maybe play star or safety. I think he's a little bit more flexible. That's why I was thinking Jakeem is more of a true outside corner.
Touche.
But yeah, Tony Livingston's going to visit. I believe the staff trying to make sure we keep him in the fold. So that would kind of fill our tight end from this class if he ends up being, grades are good and he's ready to come aboard. So we'll see how that goes.
Very athletic player, by the way.
Very athletic player. Was originally slated to be a defensive lineman.
Offensive lineman.
Offensive lineman. You're right. I apologize.
4-star with Hevesy.
Hevesy special.
Have got us. No, he was a blue chipper. He just kept.
I think that was kind of the joke about it. That was one of his higher recruits, and he was going to slide to tight end.
He just kept losing weight, man.
Like, bro. He liked to play basketball. Another one of those guys that was a good basketball player. Speaking of offensive linemen, kind of a loss here at the last second due to the storm, like we were talking about. The number one offensive tackle for 2024 Cam Pringle was supposed to visit this weekend, but due to the weather, he's in South Carolina actually. He's going to have to reschedule that visit and not make it because his game got slid to Saturday.
Doesn't China have some type of weather machine we could borrow?
Man, I'm telling you, we need something. This
Pretty
sucks.
sure they had one in the
I thought
Olympics.
we were done with this stuff. We're past. We're supposed to be past all this. Another just one more big visitor that we can talk about right now for next weekend, and is the number 1 overall cornerback Charles Lester for the 2024 class is going to be visiting with Rick's reclassifying. Lester moved up to the number 1 cornerback in the class. Another Florida kid, another corner. I've heard different things about the kid. I haven't heard about it, us being in the most favorable position, but you get Corey Raymond on the job and all bets are off. And there'll be some more visits come out between now and game day. A lot of stuff's just kind of, a lot of kids are waiting and seeing with the storm what they do. I've heard there might be some surprises this weekend. It could line up to be a really big visit weekend. Hopefully this storm clears out and gives us a nice, pretty day in Gainesville. One more piece of recruiting news that was announced this weekend is cornerback Sharif Denson announced that he will be taking his official visit to Florida December the 9th. I think that's going to be the next big visit weekend for Florida, is that weekend in December when the season will kind of be past us there and the staff can kind of focus more on the recruiting efforts. I think you'll end up seeing quite a few official visits lined up for that weekend. And that's all for recruiting right now, guys. Like I said, stay tuned to our Twitter page at RespectOurDCN. As more and more visits get announced, we'll tweet them out from there. Keep y'all informed, and hopefully it's a great weekend all the way around. And starting with that, Mike's about to tell us all about the South Carolina Gamecocks that are coming to town this weekend.
Yeah, and real quick, we already flipped one of their commits. And, they still have one out of Jacksonville, Pup Howard. So, that's kind of even more, more, I won't say pressure, but, more incentive to.
God, we'd love to have Pup Howard, but.
Pardon?
We sure would love to have Pup Howard.
Yeah, I mean, I know he has a deep relationship with that linebacker coach, but, it would definitely be nice. And hopefully, at the end of the day, you never know. So.
No, you never stop recruiting.
Absolutely. So, all right, yeah, South Carolina, guys. Shane Beamer is in his second season as the head coach there. He is the son of legendary former Virginia Tech head coach Frank Beamer, for the legendary Beamer Ball. Shane Beamer last year was the Football Writers Association of America, was the first year coach of the year. He went 7-6, and he actually had a pretty solid season, all things considered. And this season they are 6-3 overall and 3-3 in the conference. He's definitely fielded a competitive team both seasons, and he's a promising young head coach.
Terrible dancer.
Yeah, I thought he'd be an awful hire, and he's done pretty solid.
He's infectious. He's an infectious young guy. I mean that can carry you.
Definitely.
So far.
So some of the stats on their per team rankings. Their points per game, 57th in the nation at 28.8. Total yards per game is going to be 85th in the country at 363.8. Rush yards per game. It's going to be 85th in the country at 130.4. Something to keep an eye on in the future there. Pass yards, given their strong arm quarterback, 64th overall, 233.4 yards. Sacks given up per game, 84th, 2.5 per game. And on third down, sitting at 73rd at a 38% clip on converting. Now on defense, giving up, they're actually 69th overall points per, we got here. Yeah, 69th overall in points per game. On yards per game, they're sitting at 99th overall. And rush yards per game, 85th overall at 130.4. Pass yards per game given up, looking at 42nd overall, 215.5. Sacks, 105 overall, 1.5. And third down conversion is going to be 98th overall at 42.59. So obviously they're not the best football team overall, and they definitely have some flaws. There are some solid football players on this team, though, however. And some of the games Notable games on the schedule so far were going to be at Kentucky. They did win there 24-14. It was a hideous game to watch. They ended up pulling away at the end, but this game continued. Kentucky was playing with their backup quarterback the entire game. Not that it would have mattered too much because he's not good at football. And also, that was at Kentucky. They played a home game. They won as well against Texas A&M, a tight one, 30-24. Now, just some of the impact players. Just start out, Marshawn Lloyd. It's just a starting running back. It's going to be he's on the season, and he's kind of iffy. He's questionable for the game. He's definitely banged up for this game. He missed last week's game with a deep thigh bruise and has been limited in practice all week. But on the season so far, he's sitting at 556 yards, 5.6 yards per carry, and 9 touchdowns. They don't have one backup. They're pretty much a trio of guys. That trio is going to be Juju McDowell, 184 yards total, 3.4 yards a carry, and 2 touchdowns. Christian Beal-Smith, he's 146 yards total, 4.3 average, 5 touchdowns. So he's one that can really get in the end zone. And I know, the true recruiters, fanatics are going to know this name, Jaheim Bell. He is technically a tight end. I call him an athlete because he's got a good amount of carries on the season. He was their leading carry guy last week. And he had 120 yards, 3.4 average, and 2 touchdowns on the season. So that being said, we also have a couple more players. Wide receiver Antoine Wells Jr., 41 receptions for 574 yards with 4 touchdowns. DB Nick Emmanuel, I'm pretty confident on that one. And 40 total tackles, leading the team with 1 pass deflection. And linebacker, this one's definitely a quality player here. He'll be playing on Sundays, 40 total tackles. Jordan Birch, linebacker Jordan Birch, 40 total tackles, 3.5 sacks on the season, and 2 pass deflections. And I can't call this player an impact player, so I'll just call him another player. It's going to be QB Spencer Rattler, transfer from Oklahoma, and played high school ball in Arizona. And as you know, he is not good at football, and you can see by his stats here, 1,823 yards on the season, 64.5 completion percentage, and 8 touchdowns and 9 interceptions with 20 sacks on the season. So just, mediocre stats for at best mediocre quarterback. Now I'll just continue on with the injuries that we already spoke about a little bit. Their starting safety, B.J. Gibson, left last week's game with a lower leg injury. He's doubtful for this week. In their corner, David Spalding is done for the year with a foot injury. So that's something to keep in mind for our passing attack, which definitely, looked a lot better last weekend in College Station. Now, just some of the questions for this week. First and foremost, is Spencer Rattler good at football? Simply put, no. He's from Arizona. Second, this is the serious question, though. Can Shane Beamer strike lightning in a bottle twice against Florida? Last year, luckily, I didn't watch the game. I'm not going to lie. A lot of people trying to clown me. And I just posted a picture of me in Miami at our exhibit. So, I was winning that day. So I refused to. I wasn't going to let that team ruin my Saturday. But, we lost that game 40-17, and that pretty much fired Mullen. So, right now, he's riding on cloud 9 against the Florida Gators, and I think that is something to keep in mind. He even see, big bad Florida. It's like, hey, let's line this up. I did it last year. Why not do it again? And if I'm him and those players, I'm thinking the same exact thing. So we can't just treat him like this is little old South Carolina. So.
No, I think it tremendously helps us. The game being at 4:00, we won't maybe be as flat. Obviously, the kids that were on board for last year's game, they know what the team attitude was at that point, and I don't think it's any secret that it was at a pretty all-time low, especially under Dan. Many like you alluded to, many people kind of said that was the game where they decided Dan wasn't going to be back. And then after the Missouri debacle, they really decided that he couldn't even be around anymore. Hopefully they come in with a big head, man. I mean, they come in thinking that they got our number, even though one win over us last year is not exactly having our number. But I hope they come in a little overconfident after beating a bad Vandy team last weekend. So, with that being said, guys, like we were going to say, we move on to some UF news. It's Senior Day at the Swamp this Saturday, so that's something for some guys to be pumped up about. Send these seniors off on a high. Some notable kids that will be celebrating Senior Day this weekend. Everyone's favorite safety, Trey Dean. React to that as you will. Our left tackle, Richard Garage, who has the option of I believe he has the option of coming back, does he not?
COVID
year. Some of these guys will have COVID options, and we'll discuss that momentarily. These are just put on the list of guys that were going to be celebrating Senior Day. This isn't our list. This is a list that was provided. So these are the guys that are expected to walk at Senior Day on Saturday. Interesting name, Lorenzo Lingard. I certainly wouldn't expect. Let me say that a different way. I would expect Lorenzo Lingard to be playing college football next year.
Agreed. I think it's if he was playing for the Gators next year, I wouldn't be mad at all. I think it's best for both parties and more him. Because at the end of the day, you get one shot to play college football. I think he can be a lead back at a lower, maybe
in a scheme that more fits his skills.
Because he has a skill set. So
zone cutting, maybe not his skill set.
Not at all.
So, and that's nothing against Lorenzo Lingard. Great kid. Love his attitude. Love his work ethic.
Yeah.
But every scheme doesn't fit a kid. And we're going to talk about another one of those here at the end of this list in a minute.
And just to cap it off, not to mention when a coach, like if he has it set up, like hypothetically picks you out of the portal and wants you, you're going to be his guy. And maybe even get promised a spot to start.
Couple other names before we move into a bigger one. Wes's man. I mean, not Wes's man. I apologize. Mike's guy, Kyle Ingall. God, Kyle, we barely knew ye. Mike hyped you for about a week and a half, 2 weeks.
I did what I could. I did my job.
Will Herod. Man, I forgot that kid even.
Yeah, I'm glad to see him go.
Cheers to him for sticking it out. Jordan Pouncey. We barely knew ye.
Good locker room guy, though.
Yes, great locker room guy. One guy that we're truly going to miss, probably the centerpiece of this senior class, Ventrell Miller. I mean, a guy you can't have enough praise for, battled back from injury, leader of the defense whenever he's on the field. A great Gator that'll never probably get all the credit he deserves because of the teams he played for and the defenses he played for. Thanks, Todd Grantham. Thanks. Friend of the show, Justin Shorter, who's, I think we can agree, Justin Shorter has made, I don't know if you want to say he made the most of this year, but he's absolutely made a jump over where he was.
He'll get drafted because of this year.
Yes, absolutely.
I think that's the best way to put it.
And hopefully some really good pro day combine numbers as well.
Yeah.
He certainly has the those things you can't teach, the size. Interesting name here, Trent Whittemore. Now, I don't believe it's been any secret here lately, especially after his brother decommitted, that Trent might transfer after this season. Obviously, Trent's a guy that's not going pro, so obviously that's another guy that you'll probably see playing football at another school next year. And last but not least on that list, same kind of situation. Had high hopes at the beginning of the season, just didn't work out in this system. Naquan Wright. Another kid battled back from injury, worked hard, but maybe just in the wrong scheme for him to benefit his talents, especially as a receiving back. Mike, you got any thoughts on these guys?
Naquan needs to go. I've already spoken enough. Quality back. It's the awful scheme fit. Trent Whitmore. At the end of the day, he's not better than Ricky Purcell. So go to a spot at MSU with the Pirate himself. Go play with your brother and go catch some balls. I'm a huge Whitmore fan. So more, hats off to you. I wish him the best.
Absolutely. I really thought Trent was going to be something absolutely special here. Things weren't meant to be the way that they shook out. Hopefully he goes somewhere and they can really make the most of his talents, because the kid can catch. There's no doubt about it. All right. One more quick tidbit before we move on came out. Shout out to our man Nick Delatorre. He tweeted this out yesterday, and it caught my eye. I couldn't believe I read it right. UF is leading the SEC in the fewest penalty yards. Who ever thought we'd see the day? And let's say this: Billy Napier said it right off the rip that being a more disciplined team and cutting back on penalties was one of his biggest goals this season. And kudos to him, because he's done it. I mean, we complain about penalties that we get on here, but that's because they're so noticeable, because there's actually not that many a game. So big shout out to Billy for getting the discipline level of this team where it needs to be. Mike, any other tidbits you want to throw out before we get into our pick six?
No, that pretty much summed it up. Just to kind of piggyback off of the discipline. I mean, especially where it's been habitual, coach over coach, with the program, doing what he did in this, one spring. It just truly shows not only that mainly the players have bought in, and it also shows he has, with everything else, he's methodical, he's strategic, and he has a plan in place. When you see, other programs, down south, 18 penalties in one game. You just can't win like that. We don't have the talent to overcome that. That's another thing. So, all these games that we picked that were coin flip games, that Utah game, we don't win that Utah game with 12 penalties. No, there's no chance. We don't come back from that, that 21-point deficit when LSU came into town. We don't make that a ball game with multiple penalties. So, we're us playing disciplined ball, not turning the ball over. It has the potential to truly make this season a success. And, if we finish out with 8 wins, I'll take that 10 times over.
Absolutely. You're right. You can't succeed, especially with a less talented team, if you're putting yourself behind the 8 ball. And once again, that's just one of the things that we've absolutely done right this year that has helped fuel our ability to stay in games and to come back in so many of these, and to stay competitive, is not to get stupid penalties when you're behind. That was a staple of the Mullen years. Get behind, get a stupid personal foul penalty or something of that nature. Now you're 15 yards back. You just can't recover. And just another example of what Billy and the coaching staff are teaching these guys and making happen. So big shout out to Billy. That goes right into what we've said since day one of this season, is you needed to see progress and growth. And that is one of those areas that absolutely is measurable in that factor.
Imagine when you do that with the
elite talent
that's being brought in. And then you face a team that has inferior talent. You have top 5 class, let's just say top 8, top 7 classes year over year. You're going to face teams. Let's just say Kentucky. Kentucky faces us. They play us well. Yes. Well, guess what? If they have 7, 8 penalties, we're going to beat 9 times out of 10. We're going to beat them.
And you start popping them guys in the mouth like we were accustomed to doing. That's when they commit the stupid penalties.
That's correct.
And that's missing. But we're getting there. We're getting there. I'd really, we'll talk about that more here as we move into the pick six. And with that being said, guys, we are moving into our pick six, even though there's just two of us. We'll make sure
I'll take Wes's.
We'll make sure we cover the load on that. And guys, with the pick six, we want to announce a new partnership that we've got going on now with Prize Picks. Prize Picks is a daily fantasy source that you can download and place daily entries on. And if you join now and use code RESPECT100, Prize Picks is going to match your first deposit up to $100. So if you deposit $50, they're going to give you $50. If you give $75, they're going to match $75, and if you put in $100, they're going to match $100. And what's different with Prize Picks over, say, DraftKings and or FanDuel or any of those is you're not playing against other players. You're playing against yourself, basically. You're placing entries on stat lines over and under. So basically, an example is if will AR rush for 45 yards in a game this year, and you put over or under, and you bet up to 2 to 5 players, and that's as easy as it is, man. So go ahead, check out Prize Picks. I use it myself, really enjoying it so far. Like I said, enter code RESPECT100, and they will match that first deposit up to $100. So with that being said, we're going to jump into the pick six. Pick six, guys, what we do every week. 3 things the Gators need to do to beat South Carolina.
I'll start it out.
Hold on now.
Okay.
Hold on now.
I'll do Wes's.
And 3 things the Gators need to do to avoid versus South Carolina. Mike's excited to do Wes's lines this week.
I'm ready to go, man. I got 2 folks.
All right.
So
jump on it, Mike. What do the Gators need to do to beat South Carolina? Start with the hype man's.
Yes, sir. Score 1,000 points. Wes has built off the momentum from the Texas A&M game. He's absolutely correct in terms of, we finished strong. We definitely started, pretty well, but shutting them out in the second half, and we didn't fully, kill them, put our shoe on their throat essentially. But we definitely, we're going about 75% of that and putting them away, running it down the throats. That last, that touchdown with Johnson down in final minutes there was that's something we've been wanting to do. And that's what Napier wants to do. And, it looks like we were saying, progression throughout the whole season. It's not even about wins and losses this year. It's about establishing a culture. And I think this game is what I just saw as, building off that performance. Most notably, this is AR. AR in the run game, I won't touch on the run game too much, but just AR in general. If AR has the exact same game, 17-28, 201 yards, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions, 70-plus yards rushing, and a touchdown, oh my goodness, I'll take that every game for the rest of the season. So you come off that, you play discipline on these, you don't have to do amazing, get a shutout, but you play good football, quality football on the defensive side of the ball, we will win out. That's without a doubt. Hirsch?
I think myself, we need to run the ball 50 times again. We ran the ball 50 times last week for an just immense amount of yardage. I look at the numbers Vandy put up versus South Carolina last week, running the ball. There's no reason we can't have the exact same rushing effort we had versus Texas A&M on our own field in the 4:00 start. I just want to see us just pound the rock, man. I said this so many times, but that's the strength, man. Do it. Run it some more. I want to see an average 5-6 yards a carry when I see my stat line Saturday night, Sunday morning. All right.
Oh, and from what I originally had was going to be get to Spencer Rattler. He's obviously, once again, he's not good at football. So, and they're 84th, I want to say it was, and 84th in the country on sacks given. So he's already at 9 picks on the season, one over his touchdowns he's thrown. So I mean, if you get to him, especially early, he is not a mentally strong let alone football player person. So you just get to him, get him rattled, get those third and longs, as Wes always says, win first down, and we'll take care of it, especially like the Princely. So
I'd like to see us man up a little more this game as well. Hopefully we can to help with that. All right. 3 things we need to avoid versus South Carolina.
And this is what we just said. To piggyback off what you're saying, Hirsch, in terms of least penalized team in the what was it? Sorry, had it here. Yes, we're least penalized team in SEC. So essentially, keep doing what we're doing, and don't shoot ourselves in the foot. We are the more talented team, especially with their star running back out. So just we have home field advantage. We have momentum. We're playing our type of football right now. So just don't set ourselves up for 1st and 15, 1st and 20 with a holding call. That's at that point you're gonna put AR at a disadvantage. He doesn't play as well at home, so we're already kind of in a hole of that. So just play ahead of the sticks. So don't do unforced errors. I've seen it happen too often. So let's just keep the ball rolling.
Yeah, my thing to avoid is just letting Carolina possess the clock, man. I want to see 50 carries a game. That requires us to have the ball a lot. So get them off the field, man. That second half versus A&M was how I want my UF defense to look. 1st, 2nd, 3rd and long, incomplete pass, punt us the ball back. I need to see a lot more of that, and I will feel so much more comfortable in the direction that we're going in to close out this season going into next, because that's what we need to see. And like you said, we get the pressure on Rattler. I don't think that'll be an issue. So what was your last thing that you thought we needed to avoid to win versus South Carolina?
Yeah, I kind of spoke on it previously, but essentially don't have another USC letdown. End of the day, they have USC talented players on there. Just maybe not as much as we do. They're obviously not afraid of us. They proved that last year. We've lost to them before. This isn't like Vanderbilt. They can beat us. I would not, I wouldn't be shocked. I'd be surprised if we lost. But end of the day, don't take them lightly. We don't have a good enough team to overlook this South Carolina team. Okay,
this is another one of those coin flip games that you've referred to over and over and over again.
Absolutely. So, I think Beamer's got to have them ready to go, so I think this is going to be pretty tight going into halftime, but ideally we have them, we pull away midway through the 3rd, but if this gets in the 4th quarter, then things could truly get spooky. So that goes back to what Wes is saying, avoid mistakes. So that's my main thing. It comes down to starting fast and taking this game seriously. And I really haven't seen too many games, with Billy. He kind of keeps them up for every game. May not start out the best, but you can kind of tell, the team with the emotion, they are there.
Absolutely. So before we move on to our impact player, any other general thoughts you have about this game that
Yeah, we need a win, man. Right now, like the problem. One of the fan base is happy. This is kind of weird.
It's been a quiet week.
No, it's just weird. Kind of went to I can start all right, Kentucky. That week was weird. It just felt like a loss was coming. How the game went is how the atmosphere in Gainesville felt. It was just a ghost town until a couple hours prior. So LSU, everyone's in a good mood. Wins, losses, it's kind of we lost, but we see the vision. We're getting these types of recruits. We just lost the number 2 recruit in the country. We should be pissed, livid, imagine that happening last year to Mullen. That's what I'm saying. It's a calm
Oh, there would
because
have been
they see
pitchforks.
he's shown that he can get players. He's shown that he does this in like buckets. So, and I like that he's consistent. Everything's methodical, and people are truly buying in. That's why there's a lot of Gator fans. I cannot stress how many Gator fans are at Texas A&M. So that being said, I think is it sold out? I believe it is.
I believe it is. I
Yeah,
think
so
I
it just
think that was
goes.
announced a week ago or so.
Yeah, it's just that's what's really
It is a very odd feel.
Yeah, it's just no, the fan base isn't freaking out, and our fan base always freaks out for everything. And it's like he's a very calming guy, individual, and it's like it's been reflected, and not only by him, his personality, by his actions as well. So I just love seeing the buy-in from the fan base collectively.
I just like I said, I'd really like to see us come out off the wave that we had that second half. And I know that was against backups and whatnot for Texas A&M and a quarterback that's terrible at football in Haynes King. But it was still a road game, like I alluded to in our Raw Reaction episode. If y'all haven't checked that out, go check out our Raw Reaction episode for Texas A&M. It's a road game that was an 11 a.m. start for those guys in the SEC. I mean, that's
imagine tailgating.
Oh my God!
I
didn't even have time to have a drink.
I woke up at 4:30 in the morning.
It's ridiculous. But I just can't imagine. Like I couldn't imagine as a player. Like we all played football, but that I can't imagine waking up, having to eat breakfast that early because they got to eat, and getting prepped. You got to go do your warm-ups. I mean, you're doing warm-ups at 9:30 in the morning. No, 9.
It wasn't warm.
I'm just saying, like,
it wasn't warm.
That's all. People just think, well, they're football players. They flip a switch. They go out and play football. But it don't work that way. There's a mentality. You have to amp yourself up and get yourself just.
There's a reason why you normally pick in the NFL. You pick when West Coast team travels over.
Oh, absolutely.
You pick the East Coast team.
So I do think that with the game being a 4 p.m. game, I think it helps us tremendously. Senior day, emotions should be, some of those guys should be jacked up. I would imagine Ventrell's probably going to have a monster day. Hopefully Trey Dean has a monster day. But anyway, let's get on to our impact players, if you will. And as always, guys, with our impact players, we have a rule of thumb: no AR and no Ventrell Miller. So
that's been season long, pretty much.
That's a season long thing. They're the leaders of the offense and the defense. You expect AR, given his talent level, to have a big game, and Ventrell is going to bring it week in and week out. So with that, we're going to go ahead and kick into ours. Mike, you want to go ahead and cover yours first, or Wes's first, or you want to do both of them at the same time since he was
that's
original?
actually a good idea. Let's just say let's go with the pass rush overall. But I said that in the spirit of Wes. He's using a whole group instead of one individual. Now going back to the actual rules and following the outline, it's going to be Wes chose Princely, and he had a quality game against. Got some pressures in his home state of Texas against A&M last week. He's always shown the ability to get to the passer, and this once again this is important to pressure and get a hold of Spencer Rattler. And now for mine, I chose arguably the MVP of the defense last week, my boy 5'2", Antoine Powell Jr. from the DMV, just getting things done. It's just I'm not calling myself a prophet, but when you know ball, you know ball. So I'm just saying. I said that's my boy. It's been my boy.
You have claimed him. I will absolutely back you up on that. You have been on his bandwagon, even though it's been quiet the first half.
When he got the opportunity, he took it and ran with it.
Players shine when they get the limelight.
So on all seriousness, those two players can definitely. I wholeheartedly expect 2 to 3 sacks from them, because this team's on the bottom quarter of the. As we were saying, 84th in the country in sacks given up on 2.5 a per game. So we should get 2 to 3 sacks just from them alone. So
this goes back to the comment I made back in the recruiting segment about defensive linemen being lunch pail guys, and both of those guys fit
You don't
that
hear
mold.
from them. Well,
You don't. Yeah, they're
I mean,
not.
Prince is
They're
on
not
TikTok a lot.
flashy.
Yeah, Prince.
They're not flashy. They're not going to go out there. They're just all of a sudden they're going to be in the backfield and pressuring the quarterback out of the pocket.
Yeah.
Hey man, I'm all for that. I love a hard hat wearing defensive linemen that just go to work and do their job. Don't wag fingers. Don't flex. Get back to the huddle. Let's do it again. And speaking of workmanlike efforts, my impact player of the game this week is Big Ethan White. We hadn't said a whole lot about Ethan White this year, not positively. I need Ethan White to mirror his guard counterpart at the other position this week, and be a road paver, a grader, just clear some holes out. Whatever his assignment is, I need him to just bust the man in front of him, not get pushed back when he, it goes back to me saying I want to see 50 carries this game. Well, if you're going to have 50 carries, you got to have effective blocking by your offensive line, and our guards are a big part of that, given our scheme. I need to see Ethan White. If Ethan White ever has any aspirations of playing in the NFL, he needs to start playing like it.
Hey, Hirsch.
Hey.
You may want to go to your local church and light a candle, because that's another prayer for that. Because that's about the only way it's going to happen.
Well, I'm trying to speak it into existence. All right. I've been an Ethan White defender since the moment he was recruited.
In this scheme, have you been?
Not as much, but I haven't been down on. I think his the guy standing next to him has made him look a little better this year. I'm talking about I'm talking about when the guy next to you is playing horribly, you don't notice the other guy so much.
I've noticed it.
I know you have. You're an eagle eye like that. It's because you know ball.
Your words not mine.
I'm just saying.
I think
I see Kingsley go backwards faster, so I just notice him more. And you're right. Maybe it's a scheme problem, what have you not. But once again,
yeah, I don't think it's a feat.
He may not. But I know he's got the anger streak. He just needs to show it. Absolutely. And this would be a fantastic week for him to realize we got 3 more games. I need to put my best performances on tape, whether it be for the University of Florida next year or somewhere else. I mean, because everyone's going to have to look in the mirror after the season and decide if this is the place for them or not. It's no secret. I mean, kids are going to have to look in the mirror and say, is this scheme right for me to get to the next level if that is what my aspiration is? And I would assume that's pretty much what all their aspirations are at this level. So, hey, if I want to go somewhere else, I at least better show that I got some damn fight in me, Be a good game for Ethan to start. All right. So, with all of that being said, it's time for us to give our score predictions for this week. And as always, well, you know what? I think yours is a little better than the hype man. So I'm gonna let you read them off.
Got Wes at 41-23. I should have whited my text out, but it's neither here nor there. I have he picks us winning. I have a win as well, 44-20. I have this game's over early third quarter. And Hirsch?
I got it 33-24. Simply because this is just one of those games, like you said, it feels a little weird. I still think we win. I just think it's an ugly game.
2 things on the score. My score is based off of AR having another Texas A&M game. If AR plays like he does in the home games a lot of times, things will get spooky. So
let's hope that, like we've noticed.
I stopped hoping. I just go with it.
I understand that. I'm
too late to hope.
3 weeks in a row, no turnovers, numbers are rising, looking much better. I'm here's hoping we've turned that corner. And we've all heard different things on AR. I think AR is trying to put together the best tape to end the season he can too, because I believe that's where he's leaning. I think that's where he's been leaning since day one. I know a lot of people are hoping and praying he stays, but if that kid gets a first round grade, he's got to go. I mean, it ain't even a question. If somebody puts a first round grade on the table for you, I mean, obviously I don't know what his NIL deals look like. I don't know how much he's bringing home, but that NFL rookie contract first round grade is solid money. All right. Well, that's all we. What?
NIL can be like Malik Hooker got
It
the
can
check.
change things. Absolutely.
Malik Hooker got a lot of money.
It just
A
depends.
lot of money.
I mean, I don't know. We don't know the numbers on the Gatorade deal. That could be significant. They certainly have the money to make it significant.
And if he
picks up one or two other.
It's a poor quarterback class.
Well, here's the other thing. If he comes back next year, arguably the top one or two quarterbacks in the country for draft, not for college, but going forward that year, he'll be one or two probably in the draft. I don't even know who the quarterbacks the next year are, but like you said, it's heavy at the top this year.
Drake May
and Caleb Williams.
Yes.
But
so he's at best. He's not going to bet at best too.
But the hype on AR would be absolutely ridiculous coming back next year. If that were the case.
Question is that a good thing for him?
That's very true. The mental aspect is always going to be questionable until he proves otherwise. But with where we're going with this conversation, the NIL deals would probably, from major companies next year, would probably be significant. You've got people like, obviously AR is not Bryce Young, guys. Don't. I'm not saying that, but Bryce Young's got the Dr. Pepper deal. Millions.
You could easily argue, come from a marketing background. You could easily argue he's more marketable.
Absolutely, great kid, looks the part, nice as he can be. We all know about that part of AR. Does great work in the community. Everybody loves him. Shakes hands. Does autographs. All that kind of stuff. So,
do one for NASCAR.
Absolutely. NIL companies will probably line up for the kids. So there's reasons to be optimistic. I'm just not sure that's what he wants. And I guess we'll know when he makes whatever announcement he makes. All right, guys, that's all gonna do it for our South Carolina, Florida breakdown. Hopefully Raw Reaction is fun this weekend, and we got a lot to talk about, including a lot of visitors that maybe we'll find out between now and then. I think there's going to be a lot of information come out that's going to be real exciting for Gator Nation in the next few days. So y'all stay tuned for it, man. Like I said, as things come out, I'll make sure we get it tweeted out from our Twitter page at Respect Our Decision at Respect Our DCN. If you don't follow us there, please drop us a follow. So now we're going to hit these weekly pick'ems, Mike, and it's going to be a little different now. We ain't got the hype man here to do his pick'ems. I guess he'll have to mail his in, and y'all will just have to take my word on what he picks. But after his performance last week, all of our performances.
Did you fix yours, by the way?
Yeah, I fixed everything. I'm still up by 5 on you. So you just calm down. Yes, I did. No, I didn't. Wait a minute.
No, you did not. We'll talk about this offline.
I'm terrible about this.
My God. Yeah, because Wes is sitting at, for the people who obviously can't see what I'm looking at, totals of the pick'ems, Wes is looking at 96. I'm looking at 96. Hirsch is looking at 110. No, 100.
That seems about right.
You're off 4.
I know where it is. I have too many losses.
Yeah. Okay. Anyways.
Anyway, last week, God, college football, to tell you how much of a absolute crazy season this has been. I mean, another week, Hirsch 5-5, Mike 5-5, Wes 4-6. Hirsch was the only one that picked UGA to win. Mike was the only one that picked LSU to beat Bama. And, well, Wes just picks games. I don't know what else to tell you about that.
I think what it comes down to, which was the more impressive pick, yours or mine?
Well, clearly mine, because you said
we'll have a poll.
Tennessee. You said Tennessee was going to win by multiple touchdowns.
Listen, we'll let the people talk. This is we do.
Should I include sound clips with our poll?
I mean, if you want to include a sound clip, just make sure you have the video of me picking App State over as a 16.5-point underdog versus Texas A&M.
If y'all didn't see the picture of the one fan that was at the Texas A&M game wearing App State, that was Mike. All right. Well, we're going to do this. And like I said, guys, we'll take Wes's picks offline. It ain't going to matter. Wes is bad at picks, like Spencer Rattler's bad at football. So, game one, Alabama at Ole Miss. Mike, how does Alabama bounce back from that tough loss?
Oh, man, I mean, I just got to go with the numbers there. Bama after a loss is you don't want to face Bama, so I'm picking Bama.
Yeah, I can't say that. I know that they're going to get hyped up because I know Saban probably ripped everybody in the building. People's jobs have already probably been taken from them.
Now, with that being said, something is internally off with that program. Kirby kind of called him out in terms of transfers. That may be it. I don't know. I do not know. But something has been the whole season. I've had this feeling it's just been off. They don't have that Bama stick, aura to them. I don't know if it's a quarterback. Is he supposed to be a leader of the team? I have no idea. But
I just got this feeling that his heart's not like it. I don't know, man.
They're not big bad Bama this year.
You just hear rumbles. I mean, you've heard rumbles, and how much of the offseason worrying about all the other bull crap. I mean, and then hearing, oh, well, last year was a rebuilding year, which we know that's just coach speak from Nick. But man, if that was a rebuilding year, what is this year supposed to be? You have
brought in Gibbs, brought in Burton,
top 3 quarterback, top 3 running back.
I think he's the best quarterback.
Number 1 rush end in the country, arguably. I mean,
no, they're probably the best defender, arguably the best player in the country. With Williams.
Yeah, right there with Jalen Carter. I mean, easily. Maybe it's T-Rob. Maybe T-Rob's the problem. I know what the problem is. Todd Grantham is a defensive analyst. You reap what you sow, Nick. I don't know what to tell you. You can't save everybody. Anyway, this game 2 probably wouldn't even been on the Pick Ems if last week hadn't gone down the way it went. But now we got to talk about it. Louisville at Clemson.
I can't go against Dabo at home versus Louisville. I gotta go. Team Sprinter.
Yeah, I think their defense will probably be way too much for Louisville at the end of the day. Love Louisville's quarterback. Hate Clemson's quarterback. I think that kid is probably the most disappointing kid in the country for the second year in a row. But yet Dabo continues to run him out there.
Well, I don't think that backup's ready because they played the backup.
I think I'd ride with the backup at this point and just let him grow. I mean, to each their own. I mean, it's not my program to run. Obviously, he watches them in practice, and he knows more than I do, obviously. And that ain't saying much. But Central Florida, fresh off the big win at Tulane, 8-1 Tulane.
Really?
Yeah, Tulane's ranked. UCF on the road. They don't.
You the spread?
I don't have the spread on that one. I
It's
apologize.
not cool, bro. I'll go UCF then, since we don't. I'm going UCF. That's yeah.
This is that kind of game that UCF drops every year. I'm going with Tulane.
Now this at Tulsa. I'm picking Tulsa.
Yeah, that would have been even better, but
They never beat Tulsa.
Got a big win going on the road. It's Gus. Yeah, I'm going with Tulane. All right. Here we go. Washington at Oregon.
I think
Oh, you got to do it. Won't he do it, folks?
I think Mike Penix goes into Eugene, Oregon, and loses to a former Auburn quarterback.
Okay. I don't have any faith in Washington on the road. If this was in Washington, at Washington, oh yeah, I'd take them all day, but they can lose a little something when they leave the old state there. TCU in the playoffs as of today. TCU at Texas. Does the run continue?
Horns down.
Oh yeah.
Go Horn Dogs.
Horn Dogs.
Go Horn Dogs, baby. Horn Frogs. It's Horn Frogs.
Yeah, we know. Horn Dogs. We're gonna get those shirts made too. Another great moment in this show. Man, I can't pick against them, man. My favorite uniform in college football outside of the traditionals.
I learned my lesson.
The black and purple, baby. All right.
Making LaDainian Tomlinson proud.
Yes, they are. Big LT. FSU at Syracuse. Going up north to the Carrier Dome.
All right. FSU is playing good ball.
They are playing good football.
They are playing good ball right now. For being a mediocre football team. So let's put that in perspective. They're going to the Dome.
Yeah, that's a weird spot.
They're going to the Carrier Dome. I'm going with my boy with the Beijing. I'm going with Dino.
Okay.
Dino has no fear.
Sometimes, if any other year, I might say this might be a letdown game after that, but I don't think they broke much of a sweat versus Miami.
But I mean, you could easily argue you're too confident at the same time,
and you probably could. But I still think that they're a more talented football team. I'm going to go with FSU on this one.
All right, don't mess with the Dome.
I'm not messing with the Dome. I just want them as high as they can possibly be when we play them in a few weeks. This is a game I didn't think I'd have on the Pick Ems, but now it just is here for humorous reasons. Miami going up 75 north to Atlanta to play Georgia Tech.
I was not even close. I'm going with Vegas, baby. Georgia Tech. Curry Brown's probably going to play. He's awful at football. He can't throw the ball. I'm sorry for you. He's your home. I'm sure he's a great kid, but he can't throw the ball. So, I mean, maybe he should be running triple option, but he can't throw the ball. So, and not to mention, pretty much every player on Miami has quit on Mario Cristobal. And I don't know. He may be getting a cafe con leche right now. That is beyond me. But at the end of the day, the whole team has quit. By the looks of it, some of the coaches have quit. And they're just – what they're doing right now is unfathomable. So ever since Jeff Collins is fired, Georgia Tech has played with another gear.
Yeah, I think Saturday afternoon,
guys they're running by double digits.
I think fans are leaving Bobby Dodd Saturday afternoon, heading across the walkway of 75, running into the varsity, yelling, "They're a rambling wreck from Georgia Tech and a hell of an engineer, baby." Georgia Tech. Prove me wrong, Miami. I bet you can't. All right. LSU travels to Arkansas. Is there a letdown?
Thought about it. No, because Arkansas, I don't think they're playing at a high enough level right now.
I hate that Wes isn't here. I really put that one on there for him since he's such a Arkansas, sympathizer.
That would hurt his. That would hurt his soul.
It would hurt his soul, and I bet he would take Arkansas on this.
100%.
We'll find out when he mails it in. All right. This ought to be a fun contest. I mean, you talk about just the toilet bowl. Texas A&M at Auburn.
You know what?
Cadillac. Can Cadillac get it done?
No, because they lost the worst coach in Power 5 football in Division 1 in Brian Harsin. So they came back from the dead last week.
That's what I'm saying. Cadillac, baby.
Tammy ain't bowling this year. Jimbo's not going bowling.
You know who the offensive coordinator for Auburn is right now?
Who's that?
Gator great Ike Hilliard.
Oh, that's right. War damn evil.
That's what you tuned into this show, guys, to learn things like that out of nowhere. Most of y'all probably knew that. You know what? I think Weigman's going to play this week. And if Weigman plays, Evan Stewart goes for 200 yards.
I got an eagle.
A&M makes a comeback. You got an eagle or do you need a tiger? I don't know. They switched their mascot however the mood goes. Last game of the docket. We travel up north. Maryland in the Fighting Copelands.
He's like, I checked the other day. He's like 20 catches. So God bless that kid.
Head to Penn State to play James Franklin in the Nittany Lions. Boy, I know you love picking a James Franklin-led football team.
Like if Mid was had a face.
With Manny Diaz running the fierce defense.
Better coach with Cristobal. Let's get the fighting Manny Diaz's.
Penn State all the way. Yeah, I like Coach Loxley up there, and I think he's done a fantastic job with bringing in some talent. But it's a hard ask to go into Penn State, win a game like there. So I'm going to go ahead and go with the Nittany Lions on that one. All right, guys, and like I said, we'll get Wes's mail-in ballot on that and see if he can make up some ground from that last place position. Guys, we appreciate y'all tuning in this week, man. Another great episode come and gone. Hopefully, like I said, Sunday we're doing our Raw Reaction episode, celebrating another victory and being bowl eligible. Would be a great way to wrap the weekend. Mike, you got anything you want to add before we jump?
Yeah, just really quick. I forgot to say it earlier on, if you don't mind. I just one thing I really I'm going to be looking out for. I encourage you guys to check that out as well. Is last week against A&M, we went for it on fourth down when we could have kicked a field goal to go up 16 points. So I personally wasn't a fan of that because I like to play it safe. And, I didn't foresee them having the opportunity, given their offensive production, especially that half, to get that third possession. But that was my perspective on it. I just think that's, food for thought. I don't know what Hirsch thinks about that. But that was my main little thing, just not to, elaborate too much. But also just always remember, day and night, Bateman got us.
Yes, sir. Sorry, I got caught off guard. And if y'all are seeing this, you may have already seen this. But our main man, Hugh Hathcock, just sent out a tweet that said, tomorrow will be a great day for the Florida Gators. My God. Don't play with our emotions, Hugh. We're a fragile bunch.
He just tweeted it?
He just tweeted it. Hugh, don't mess with our emotions.
It couldn't happen about 5 minutes ago where I can make a couple texts. That's grand.
Guys, I told y'all, and I'm trying to be vague. We've heard some rumors. There's a lot of speculation out there. Just hang tight. I think this weekend there could be some cool developments come down the pipe. That's all I can really say at this point. But just let's let it play out and stay calm. Guys, we appreciate you so much tuning in. Made it this a little bit of a shorter episode without Mike and Wes going back and forth and, arguing defensive tackles and things of that nature. But
nose tackles.
Nose tackles. My bad. But we miss our man. Hopefully he gets his internet height fixed back up and we're good to go for a raw reaction and next week's show, as we will be breaking down the Vanderbilt game next week. And hopefully we've got a lot of big recruiting news to talk about. But as always, guys, make sure you go out there and download us wherever you get your podcast from. We're available on every platform. Make sure you check out the YouTube channel, Respect Our Decision. Please do us a huge favor and subscribe to the channel. Like every video and drop us a comment or drop us a question if you'd like us maybe to read a question on a future show. Drop us a question in there, man. We read the comments and we read anything you leave us, and we'd be happy to, answer questions if we have enough of them to kind of make a small segment out of it. It'd be great. And that being said, guys, if you'd like to support us as creators.
Oh.
Uh-oh. Dun, 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 dun,
This
dun.
is this is not good. Per Nick Del Torre, 27 minutes ago, Frazier's is out this week
with his
South
wrist,
Carolina.
arm. That's what he hurt in the game last week when he fell on his arm. It's probably shoulder or wrist or something of that nature. Hey,
significant shoulder injury.
I think he dislocated his shoulder.
Said that. But luckily, Caleb, like you were saying, Caleb Douglas,
Marcus Burke. We've got the bodies in that room.
Remember, Caleb Douglas, only a 3-star. Evals, baby. Evals.
We've got the talent in that room, and
evals.
And I hope Ricky Pearsall's touches continue to go up. But anyway, guys, like I was saying, if you'd like to support us as creators, check us out on our Patreon, Respect Our Decision. As always, every dollar we make from our Patreon, we put right back into this show just so we can keep getting better. Because, Mike, if you're not getting better,
you're getting worse.
That's right. We love you, Gator Nation. Thank you so much. Y'all have a good, safe weekend out there. If you're in the path of this storm, guys, take care. Always take it seriously. Don't go out there and dance in the rain and do all that crazy Florida man stuff. Y'all be safe.
No, let us live our lives.
Whatever. Peace out, Gator Nation.